Welcome back to Sam Talks Nerdy. Hope you're happy, doing well, dominating life, crushing it. The second season of the live action of One Piece is finally here, so you know what we have to do. Let's bandana up, lock in, and break down the positives, neutrals, and negatives of the season. I've gone into Liquid Deaths recently. So far, my favorite is Dr. Death. Really solid. Positives. My first positive has to be my whole new insight into the One Piece universe. It's just the live action adaptation hits a lot differently now since I have watched not 500, over 400 episodes of the anime. Because originally with season 1 of the live action, I had zero experience with One Piece. I've only heard of it and know some of the characters, but I never watched it. But thanks to the live action show, I watched the anime and not just a live action show, unlike one certain card collecting goober who I despise with my very being. And I'm glad I did because my mind's eye is open and I feel like I can catch some of the references now. Like, for example, Carmen, she was a character who was in the Logtown Rock in the anime, and I am pretty sure I spotted her in the background of the first episode of this season. It's like I started in the background and I hit DiCaprio. Bartolomeo is another one I learned about thanks to one of the One Piece Netflix news accounts on YouTube. And I learned that he was introduced later in the anime and in the manga, but the show decided to introduce him early because apparently it was revealed in the manga and anime that he was at the execution platform during the Loketown arc. I've got really hyped with the Laboon flashbacks. So far it's been a really smart move for Netflix to incorporate things that happened in the future of the manga anime early on in the season. Just TLDR, I am benefiting from have watched the One Piece anime, and for those of you who maybe aren't sure if you should, I mean, yes, it'll be a slog, but I highly recommend you do watch the anime because you'll just get a more richer experience than watching the live action. I mean, just again, I got excited when I saw Brook and Captain Corky. Like you can have that experience if you watch the anime. My next positive has to go to almost all of the new castings this season. My all-time favorites being, and I have a list here: Kamakura Smoker, Julia Greenwald as Tashigi, Kathira Chandran, I definitely butchered that, I'm sorry, as Vivi, Clive Russell as Crocus, David S. Malchin as Mr. 3, Mark Herlick as Dr. Herlick, which I honestly would be surprised if he got casted because of his last name, Katie Sagan as Dr. Karaha, Taikyo as Dalton, and Rob Coletti as Wapple. Kamakura Smoker was something I was really excited to see in this adaptation. Smoker is one of my favorite One Piece characters, villains, and just he nailed it with his performance. I honestly forgot how much of a threat Smoker was in his earlier appearances. I also really enjoyed Julie Rewald as Tashigi. Compared to Tashigi in the anime, Tashigi in the live action has a lot more time to shine. While I liked Kahitha Chandran as Vivi, I don't know, I feel like something like maybe she was the weakest out of the new additions. I don't know, like it's so weird. I liked her, yet just there are times she didn't really resonate with me. Don't know if she was just overshadowed by the other Straw Hat members or the other cast members, but hopefully in season 3 that will change because I also recall that maybe prior to Alabasta, Vivi in the anime didn't really stand out to me as much, but then when we got to Alabasta, she really shined. Clive Russell's Crocus and Mark Herlick as Dr. Herlick, they managed to pull at my heartstrings this season. I liked how the Netflix show added a bit more to Crocus than just angry old man who lives inside a whale. Like, again, this is the benefit of them using things from the manga anime that are introduced a lot later down the line compared to what we got early on in the series. Like before a certain point in the manga and anime, we didn't know that Crocus was, he ran in just. It's a lot of spoilers when it comes to Crocus that I don't want to give away. And just like I said, Mark Herlick is Dr. Herlick, just nailed it. I was dreading his death and just I loved every scene he was in. I won't lie about Katie Sagan as Dr. Karaha. I was hoping for Jamie Lee Curtis, but then she decided to do Freakier Friday, which look how that turned out. But honestly, after watching her as Dr. Karaha, she was the next best option. Next to Callan Kura Smoker, I was really looking forward to Taikyo as Dalton because Dalton is just a dude. I loved him in the anime, and he was great as Dalton. David Dastmalchian and Rob Coletti were just they made amazing villains. I had zero doubt that Dastmalchian will deliver as Mr. Zero, and I wasn't really familiar with Coletti until just the show. And yeah, he was a great choice for Wobble. Just them and anyone else I didn't mention, just they rocked this season, and I hope we see more of them at somehow in the show. Or just I don't just everyone was amazing. I'm excited to see more of Joe Manganiello as Crocodile and Lyra Bova as Nico Robin. Just they were perfectly cast as their respective characters, and even Joe Manganiello nailed Crocodile's voice. And I love the actor they cast for Human Brook, Marshall T. What's his name? Bachman, just he nailed Brook down to the yo. I look forward to see him and Richard Gao, the guy who played Captain Yorkie, return to the show in like 5 years. I'm actually curious how that works with some of these actors, like Shanks, Mihawk, any of the other characters who were like, hey, thanks for being on the season. Can you come back in like 5 or 6 years? Like, how's that work? And yeah, I don't think I'm ready to experience Brooks flashbacks again in live action. They tug at the heartstrings. And a quick thank you to Richard Gal for liking a comment I left on the One Piece Instagram. Appreciate it, Captain. Of course, I gotta give a huge positive to my little reindeer prince, Chopper. I was so excited to see him in live action once I fell in love with him in the anime, and they delivered with him. Just he worked so well. I mean, I was a little cautious, but he worked, and Michaela Hoover killed it with her portrayal of Chopper, and just I love this little man, and I would take a bullet for him. Okay, enough about the actors and portrayals. Otherwise, I'll be here a lot longer. A quick positive towards Zoro versus the 100 Baroque Works agents. That's probably one of my favorite moments from the anime. And so when I first watched it, I was like, oh man, this is gonna be so cool to watch in live action. And it was. Just, McKinnon, dude, he understood the assignment and he's awesome. I might regret this next positive, so for any of those I might offend, I'm sorry. But some of the Netflix adaptations of the characters, especially on the Straw Hat crew, I prefer over the anime versions. My biggest example is Sanji. He's what Sanji should be in the anime, just a cool, charming flirt, not some uber simp who ruins his fight scenes when he becomes a love-struck goofy goober. I mentioned a few times in my One Piece anime reviews that I get very frustrated with how inconsistent Sanji can be. Like 1 second he's all cool, awesome, like hell yeah, he's gonna have an awesome fight, and then he's just fawning over Nami, hoping she's watching, and just just gushing and just being love struck, like just killing the momentum. Yes, I'm still sour about the whole Thriller Bark fight. Netflix, do not do that, please. And the same can go for Nami and Usopp at times. Like, I prefer them in the Netflix show over them in the anime sometimes. My final positive has to be just how this show continues to nail bringing the world of One Piece into live action. I mean, they nailed a lot of locations from Loketown, Whiskey Peak, Little Garden, Drum Island. I cannot see what they do with Alabasta or Arabasta. I'm still not sure how to pronounce it. They even managed to pull off some of the more crazier character designs like Harry Luke's hair. I mean, Wapple looked awesome. Same with Dalton and his beast form and Chopper and his human giant form. I can't remember the name of it. If the people behind the show can keep up this amount of love and dedication to just what they're doing now, this show could very well break the live action anime adaptation curse. It also makes me really excited to see what Netflix will do with their solo leveling adaptation, and are they still doing the My Hero adaptation as well? I'm not sure. My neutrals. I will say this does feel like one of those shows that's like season one, season one, part two. Like this season just felt like part one of the season, and we're supposed to get like part two later down the line. But season 3 will be interesting as to what they will adapt. I feel like it will be mostly Alabasta and then maybe a little bit of build up towards Skypiea, which hopefully will be a better watch because those of you who don't know, Skypiea so far my least favorite saga in One Piece. If I had to guess, season 3 will mostly be Alabasta and then we'll end on Jaya. I might have to give a small neutral to the episode links. I honestly forgot how long these episodes could be. But then again, it kind of has to be done because, they're adapting so much. So it kind of has to be done. Negatives. Me having to experience Chopper's backstory again. I knew when I watched it in the anime, it was gonna suck to have to watch it again in live action, and it did. It made me the big time sad. That's part of the downside of watching the anime, then also wanting to watch the live action adaptation. You'll have to watch the sad and heavy stuff twice. So keep that in mind as well. So besides my minor nitpicks, this is just a 10 out of 10 season. This whole show is a winner, and I hope it continues to just keep being awesome and maybe even trying to increase how better the show gets as the seasons go on. And just, yeah, the show is amazing. It continues to, amaze me and just and hopefully continues to make more One Piece fans. And just kudos to everyone on the cast and crew. Just keep doing a great job. If you're listening via my podcast on either Apple Podcast or Spotify, make sure to follow me on any of either those platforms. Leave me a 5-star rating and a review where you can. If you're watching me on YouTube, you know what to do. Like, comment, and subscribe. I just hit 500 subs, which is pretty cool for me because this is the farthest I've ever gone with any of my attempts on YouTube. So hopefully I will keep growing. And until next time, stay well, stay healthy, and I will see you or talk to you next time. Peace out.